competitive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream, and welcome to all your latest Chelsea transfer news as the transfer window draws to its conclusion on Monday night. And of course, welcome to the home of the world champions. Guys, big up to everyone that's already locked in. Make sure you're smashing out the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. All of that good stuff. Get involved in the chat. Share your thoughts. We've got a packed show. We've always got a packed show because Chelsea are always doing bits in the transfer market. And we have got all the latest on the pursuit of Barcelona midfielder Fermin Lopez. The latest on the deal for Xavi Simons. Is it on? Is it off? The latest on Christopher Nkunku. Latest on Nicholas Jackson and Bayern Munich. Tyreek George and AS Roma. Loads and loads to dive into. But the big thing going on right now is Fermin Lopez or Xavi Simons. Spurs as well, by the way, have made an inquiry for Xavi Simons. Raheem Sterling's moved to Fulham. Not that it was ever really on, but it's definitely off now because they're looking to sign Kevin from Shakhtar and Chukwueze from AC Milan. So I think that closes off that avenue for Raheem Sterling. So we're another one down there this morning. The latest on Garnacho as well, chat. So there's loads to get into, people. Loads and loads to get into. But before we say hello to some of you lot in the chat and get the show on the road, a quick reminder, because if there's people that are new around here, they need to know. Make sure you check out Jerseys FC Soccer Shop, guys. Link is in the description. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. Make sure you're looking fresh in the Chelsea home kit, away kit, third kit, whatever kit you want for the upcoming season. Great quality, affordable prices. Make sure you're looking fresh, guys. Names, numbers, patches, whatever you want on the back. You might get Xavi Simons on the back. You might get Fermin Lopez. Dare I say it, you might get Garnacho. But don't miss out. I'm not bullshitting you guys. The quality's good. I've got them myself. I wouldn't lie to you. So, yeah, make sure you check it out. Jerseys FC Soccer Shop. Link in the description. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off your order. But that's enough about that because we're not here for that. We're here for the good shit. We're here for the transfer window, and we're here for all the latest Chelsea news, and we're here to see what's going to happen between now and the end of the window. Let's say hello to a few of you lot in the chat. Why Xavi Simons wants to go to Spurs? Maybe because he's fed up of fucking waiting for Chelsea. Clubs are working behind the scenes for Nkunku. Well, I should probably well hope so because the bloody window's closing soon. Champions League draw, yep. Yeah, Sterling, no. Fulham. League Cup draw tonight. I don't know what those lot are going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. I might be wrong, but if it's Nkunku to Villa, then it's Lopez, Nkunku. If it's Nkunku to Villa, then it's Lopez. Nkunku to Leipzig, then Simons. That's how I'm reading it. Potentially could be. But they're different players. They're different players, in my opinion. Yes, big up, brother. Big up, big up. Simons is more technically gifted than Lopez. They're definitely different players, for sure. Simons is more creative, I'd say, whereas Fermin Lopez is more of a box crasher, more of a goal scorer. Both very good players, by the way. If Leipzig's not getting Nkunku, Chelsea should back out of Simons and buy Lopez. I don't think it's as easy as that. You're taking over this time slot. I'm always here. Brother, big up to you. Big up to you. Fermin, let's see. Chelsea, Xavi deal off. Bro, the Xavi deal's not off. It's not off, but it's not fully on either. But it's not off. Yes, big up, brother. Big up. Fermin's fee like Simons, a priority Simons, and he'll be a Chelsea player. Bro, I hope so. I hope so. Let's dive into all this shit then. Let's dive into it all, chat. Let's dive into it all. Because we obviously had the bomber from Ornstein yesterday. I did a quick video on it that Chelsea were weighing up a move for Fermin Lopez as an alternative for Xavi Simons. Now, that for me is a negotiation tactic from Chelsea to put pressure on Leipzig to try and get negotiations moving again. But whether it's Simons or whether it's Lopez, chat, the situation doesn't change. Nkunku still needs to go. Nkunku still needs to go regardless. So even if Chelsea, after all this time, even if they did decide, actually, do you know what? Let's go for Fermin Lopez instead. It doesn't change. It doesn't change the scenario. Chelsea could be targeting fucking Messi or Ronaldo. The situation's the same. No players are coming in until Nkunku's gone. No players are coming until Nkunku's gone. So let's go through this Fermin Lopez stuff because this is yesterday from Romano. The direct contact today between Chelsea and Fermin Lopez agent. Chelsea started asking questions. How's it going at Barcelona? How's the contract situation? Salary? Would he be open to leaving? No bid so far, but the conversations have happened. And do you know what, chat? There were sort of rogue, not I'll just say rogue reports, maybe this. There were reports in Spain earlier this summer talking about Chelsea and Fermin Lopez when no one else was really talking about it. And, a lot of those reports were kind of dismissed as nonsense, really, if we're being brutally honest here. A lot of them were kind of dismissed as nonsense, but actually it's turning out that the truth was there from those reports all along. That they were truthful and they were right, that there is Chelsea interest in Fermin Lopez. So Chelsea have made contact with the agent. There's no club-to-club contact as of yet. Conversations have happened. There's no bid yet. Whether Barcelona are open to letting Lopez go, I don't know. They're well stocked in that position. Pedri, Gavi, etc. They've got players in that position of Fermin Lopez. And we know that Barcelona are always grateful for any cash that they can get their hands on. We know that. They're desperate for cash. They always have been. No, bro, you're missing the point here. You're missing the point here. Of course it is interest. Of course it's interest, but you can declare interest in a player to put pressure on another club that you're negotiating with. This is standard negotiating tactics. If you can't get a breakthrough on a deal, you threaten to go and sign someone else. That's just standard negotiating tactics. It's really not too difficult to understand. It's really not difficult to understand. If you're struggling to agree a deal with a primary target, threaten to go and sign someone else, and quickly you'll see that actually their stance will soften. What's up, brother? Of course we need to get rid of Nkunku or Jackson or both. No, he won't. Lopez is a good player, and no one's denying the Fermin Lopez quality, chat. It's all good saying Nkunku will leave, but where are the offers? Yeah, this is it, bro. This is it, and this is what I still think Nkunku will leave, but at the end of the day, chat, it's all very well people saying, "Oh, he's definitely leaving." Until the offers come in and until he's gone, he's still a Chelsea player. And there's part of me that sort of thinks at this point, I'm almost like, forget everything, close the window now, and just crack on with Garnacho, with Jackson and Nkunku, and just do that. That's part of me feels that, because it's the Simons stuff now. It's Fermin Lopez now. It's all this whatever it is, all this bollocks. And you're just like, guys, come on. What are we doing here? By the way, chat, there's almost 200 in the building. Only 40 likes. Make sure you're smashing that like button. Get this up to 100 likes ASAP. Run it up. Run it up. Run it up, chat. And subscribe if you're new. We're heading towards 20,000 subscribers. Yeah, we are. That's exactly what I think we're doing. That's exactly what I think we're doing. We're using it as a negotiating tool to put pressure on RB Leipzig. You're not going to, after all this time, go spend all this time on Simons, tell him to wait, and then go, actually, do you know what? Nah, we don't want to go for Simons. We're going to go and make a move for Fermin Lopez instead. That, for me, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Who can Lopez bench at Chelsea? It's not about benching. It's not about benching anyone at Chelsea. He would basically come in and do what Xavi Simons was doing. Cover at 10, cover on the left. That's what he would be doing. Similar player to Xavi Simons, slightly less creative, more of a ball carrier, more of a box crasher, more of a goal threat. But for me, we don't really need that kind of profile. If we didn't have an Enzo Fernandez, then a move for a Fermin Lopez makes a bit more sense. But for me personally, I think for Chelsea, look, if either of them end up joining, I haven't got a problem. I haven't got a problem if either one joins. But at the end of the day, if there was a choice, I would rather have. I'd rather have Simons. I'd rather have Xavi Simons. That's the reality. I'd rather have Simons. So there's been direct contacts, chat. Yeah, bro, we did. We had an offer. We agreed personal terms with Kudos, and then I can't exactly remember. We either never made an offer for Kudos, or we did make an offer, but it was a shit offer. And West Ham came in, and he was fed up of waiting for us, so he sacked it off. You know, these are the things that are happening here. These are the things that are happening here. So there's been contact, by the way. There's been contact with obviously the agents of Fermin Lopez. Then there's further news on the Lopez stuff, because this Lopez story is fresh and developing. So Chelsea have made a formal pitch to Fermin Lopez and are prepared to move forward and act if given encouragement by the player. Chelsea are tired of the lack of movement in Xavi negotiations and hope that this tactic will bring movement in the deal. If not, they could move for Fermin. Xavi's still a priority. This is exactly what I was saying, guys. This clear as day for me. How many times have we seen this? You're negotiating for a player. You're struggling to make a breakthrough. Oh, suddenly you're interested in another player. And this is exactly what's happened here. Simmons is the priority and has been the priority all summer. However, Chelsea will be prepared to move for someone else if they're getting the idea that there's no movement in this Simmons deal. If they're sort of thinking, and the clock's ticking, by the way. It's what? Wednesday afternoon already, chat. Wednesday afternoon already, and we're still no movement for Simmons. We're still no movement for Xavi Simons. But either way, Fermin Lopez needs to make up his mind as well. Is he keen on the move to Chelsea? Yes, he's reportedly seriously considering it, but is he keen? By the way, chat, who's saying we need both? Bro. What, so we need 3 number 10s in the squad. So you need Palmer, Lopez, Simmons, and João Pedro who can play 10. Guys, come on. Let's engage our brains here. Lopez has agility, flexibility, strength, and a good ball carrier, and can shoot with both feet. That's profile we need for low block teams. Bro, but Xavi Simons can do the same. Xavi Simons can do the same. Lopez and Simmons are similar, but as I said, Simmons is more creative, aggressive in the press and stuff, whereas obviously Fermin Lopez more of a goal scoring threat, more of a box crasher, play slightly deeper. Nah, bro, it's going to be Garnacho and Simmons, if anyone. He wants to play more regularly, but he's also not unhappy at the football club. I think it's very important to point that out, chat. Fermin Lopez is also not unhappy at Barcelona. But he's giving serious consideration. Chelsea have made the pitch. The price is going to be the same as it would be for a Xavi Simons. You know, it's going to be the same as it would be for Simons. You're looking at 60, 70, maybe even 80 million euros all in. It's the same price. So there's no change in price there. I mean, Fermin Lopez might even be a bit more expensive. Bro, we're not getting a centre-back or a goalkeeper in the window. Yes, big up, brother. I can't believe how long it's taken to get rid of Nkunku and Jackson. Asking a lot to get it all done in 5 days. Yeah, bro, we are. What time's the window close on Monday? Is it like 7? What time's the window close Monday? It used to be like 11 p.m. I've got a feeling the window closes at 7 p.m. Can someone in the chat? What time does the window close Monday night? I swear it's like 7 p.m. Yeah, it is 7 p.m., isn't it? At this point, this saga is getting ridiculous as the days go by. Yeah, no, it is getting ridiculous. There's no doubt about it. It's getting silly. It is getting silly. Right, it's 7 p.m. So, chat, we've got what? It's crazy. 7 p.m. So the approach has been made for Simmons, right? No, not for Simmons, sorry, for Fermin Lopez. And he's seriously thinking about the proposal. But we haven't got much time. We haven't got much time right now. There's no bid on the table. There's been no club-to-club contact with Chelsea and Fermin Lopez. And there's more information here. There's more information here. Hold on, chat. So this must be a Spanish Barcelona reporter. Chelsea informed Barcelona that their manager, Enzo Marescas, has spoken to Fermin Lopez twice, Barcelona tried to confirm this by calling Lopez, but he did not pick up all day. I mean, quite how true this is and how journalists get this information is always interesting. But apparently, Enzo Maresca's spoken to him twice. Very interesting. And Fermin Lopez wasn't answering his phone yesterday. Whether that's true or not, I do not know. Bro, because we're not going to mug ourselves off and sell for below market value. Nicholas Jackson, at a minimum, is worth the same as what United paid for Benjamin Sesko. Absolutely is. Absolutely is. Now, Lopez is not a smokescreen. There is genuine interest in Fermin Lopez. There's no denying that. There's 100% there is genuine interest in Fermin Lopez. However, the priority has been and was always Xavi Simons. But Chelsea would switch to Lopez if they're getting no encouragement of there being any breakthrough in the Simons deal. Bro, Jackson's got a much better goal scoring record than Strand Larsen for Wolves. Much better goal scoring record. Whether you think he's better or not is irrelevant. You know, there's no world where Nicholas Jackson is worth less money than Strand Larsen. That there isn't. There absolutely isn't, guys. Absolutely no chance. Bro, you're not going to get Simons and Lopez. Simons and Lopez will be for the same position. They'll be for the same position. It'll be one or the other, and it will be Garnacho as well. Well, bro, I should bloody hope so. The window closes on Monday night. There better be shit going on behind the scenes. There better be shit going on behind the scenes, because otherwise, these two brothers are just both going to remain at the football club, and no one else is going to be coming in. So there better be things behind the scenes. There better be. And I'm sure there is. But time is of the essence, guys. Time is of the essence. Yeah, bro. If we'll get onto Simons more directly in a sec, but that's a piss take. If the Simons deal doesn't happen, then that's shambolic from us. It is shambolic from us if it doesn't happen. Really, really poor. Really poor. No, I don't think they do. I don't think they do. But again, Strand Larsen, if they can get that deal done, would be the Callum Wilson replacement. He wouldn't be the Isak replacement. He wouldn't be the Isak replacement, chat. No way. Yeah, Lopez is a good ball carrier, but so is Xavi Simons as well. Bro, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's unlikely. I still think that's unlikely. But yeah, it would be peak Chelsea, wouldn't it, to have wasted a whole summer trying to sign a couple of players for the two player to then end up stuck with the same two players that we were trying to sell all summer. It would be very interesting. Bro, we're not getting both of them. We're not getting both of them. We don't need both of those players. So yeah, we won't be signing both Simons and Lopez. It will be one or the other. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. No, it doesn't. It's literally as an alternative to Xavi Simons if Chelsea aren't getting any encouragement from Leipzig that a deal can move forward. That's literally it. Oh, Garnacho is definitely coming. You know, the Garnacho deal is much, much easier to do than a Xavi Simons deal or a Fermin Lopez deal. That deal is very straightforward, the Garnacho one. Very, very straightforward to get the Garnacho deal done. Very straightforward. Yeah, bro, I was saying this as well earlier in the show that like there were reports from Spain earlier this summer about interest in Lopez, and you know, myself included, and a lot of people, it was barely given any attention. They like, you know, it was dismissed pretty instantly. But yeah, it looks like that there was some substance in those reports. It looks like there was some substance in those reports. Yeah, and part of me almost feels like, you know, they're just doing this to create some more drama late in the window. That's kind of what it feels like. I hope so, mate, but I've got no idea. I can't predict the future. I've got absolutely no idea if that's going to be a possibility or not. Chat, we're 266 in the building, still only on 87 likes. Those likes are piss poor, absolutely piss poor. So make sure you're smashing the like button, get this up to 100 likes, and of course, make sure you're subscribing as well, guys. Loads of people in there. There must be a few people who haven't subscribed. So yeah, make sure you're subscribing, and let's get this up over 100 likes ASAP. Come on, chat. Help me out, people. Help me out. Bro, you say this every time, and every time the players are going. So, you know, I've always maintained the same stance throughout the whole summer. And you said the same thing every week, every day on the show. Oh, we're going to struggle selling. And all the time, players are going. Yeah, some of these might be more difficult than others. But I still expect the players that need to go will be gone. Bro, there is no Lavia replacement. We've got Andre Santos. We've got Dario Asugu. We're not signing Kobe Mainu. Bro, Lopez is not our main target. Lopez is not the main target. Yeah, it's because he's not been. It's because he's not been good enough. Really, it's because he's not been good enough, and people don't really see value. People don't see value in that deal. That's the reality of the situation. People are not seeing value in the deal, chat. They're not seeing value in the deal. No, I don't think it will come out of nowhere. It still requires a Jackson or an Nkunku to leave for either Garnacho or Simons to come. So that doesn't change anything. That doesn't change anything. Changes absolutely nothing, chap. Bro, Enciso was never a Chelsea signing for this summer anyway. It was never a Chelsea signing for this summer anyway. So look, there's that on Fermin Lopez. What else is there on Fermin Lopez, guys? Because it's interesting that. It's interesting with that. So this is from Gerard Romero, who's actually a very, very good Barcelona reporter. Very, very good. So the information is that Chelsea sent proposal to Fermin Lopez, and he has to make a decision. Tomorrow, which is today, he will meet Hansi Flick face-to-face and discuss what he wants to do. There are no club-to-club talks, but Chelsea made him an offer, and there will be more if he decides to leave. So Chelsea have made a proposal to Fermin Lopez, not to Barcelona. They have made a contract proposal to Fermin Lopez, a personal terms proposal. And so, look, we will find out more information, I would imagine, later on today and probably tomorrow as to whether Fermin Lopez is actually interested in the move in the first place. Whether he's actually interested in the in the move in the first place. That's what we need. That's basically what we're waiting to find out there. Is he actually even interested in the move? Is he interested in the move or not? This is what we're trying to find out, chat. This is exactly what we're trying to find out. Does Fermin Lopez actually want to join Chelsea? No, bro, we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be doing that. That won't be happening. Palmer. Well, what are you talking about Palmer for? So yeah, look, that's the Fermin Lopez situation. Interest is legit. Chelsea have spoken to him. So we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna wait and see how this pans out. But that's a very, very interesting development. Very interesting development. You know, and of course there was going to be a little twist in the tail, wasn't there? There had to be. Bro, by the way, like these Spanish release clauses, they're never paid in full. They're never paid. By law, every player in Spain has to have a contract. Has to have a release clause in their contract. That's the rule. So every single player in La Liga has got a release clause. So when you hear like players with €1 billion release clause or £500 million release clause or whatever, it's purely there on a technicality because it has to be. And those release clauses are never getting paid. Those release clauses are never getting paid. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Fermin Lopez, what's this here? You know, it's going to be interesting because it is crazy, isn't it? Because the last week of the transfer window, almost nothing's off limits. Almost nothing is off limits. You know, you can expect a bomber can appear at any moment, chat. Any moment a bomber can appear in the last week of the transfer window. I mean, I don't think that. Nah, Barca would accept 60, 70 million euros. I think they would. I think Barcelona would accept 60 or 70 million euros for him. That's reported what the price might be, 60, 70, 80 million euros, sort of in around those figures. But bro, we're not going after Isak. Of course, I'd love to get Isak. Not happening. Never happening. But yeah, look, would anyone be? By the way, chat. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think it's highly unlikely. But would anyone be surprised? By the way, would anyone be surprised if? Is anyone surprised? Would anyone be surprised if we signed a centre back? I know it's unlikely, but would anybody be surprised if a centre back just appeared out of nowhere? This Fermin Lopez stuff has kind of appeared out of nowhere. What else could appear out of nowhere, chat? We're going to get to Jackson. But yeah, look, we'll find out more on Fermin Lopez as the day goes on. We will find out more on Fermin Lopez as the day goes on, chat. Reportedly meeting with Hansi Flick today to discuss his future. What will his decision be? But I would still be shocked, and not many things shock me, but I would still be shocked if Chelsea decided to go and sign Fermin Lopez instead of Xavi Simons. if we just fucked him about all summer. I would still be shocked if that happened, but who knows? Maybe it will happen. Maybe that's exactly what we'll do. Maybe that is exactly what will happen, chat, and that's exactly the thing that we'll do. But yeah, we're going to move away from Fermin Lopez. I'm going to focus a little bit more on Xavi Simons now, because the situation there. So there's a little, we can have a look here, by the way, chat. We can have a look here at a comparison between between Fermin Lopez and, can we see that, chat? Can we see that? It's a bit small on the screen, isn't it? I'll just read it anyway. So this is comparing Lopez and Simons last season. So this is stats per 90 minutes in the league. One shot on target per 90 compared to Lopez 1.2. Goals, they're exactly the same. 0.5 goals per 90. Lopez 0.4 to 0.3 in assists. Chances created, they're exactly the same, 2.1. Passing accuracy is better from Lopez, but again, passing accuracy is slightly misleading stat because it could just be fucking side-to-side passes. Through balls, 1 per 90 for Simons, 0.6 for Lopez. Take-ons, more take-ons completed per 90 by Lopez, more fouls won by Simons, more ball recoveries by Simons, and then obviously Lopez manages more touches in the opposition box per 90. So there's not an awful lot of difference between the two, but one thing is abundantly clear. The priority for Chelsea is Xavi Simons. It's not Fermin Lopez. People can say whatever they want. But look, maybe has Enzo Maresca asked as Maresca asked for Fermin Lopez? Has Maresca asked for him? We don't know here. We don't know here. But is he more likely to start at Chelsea than Barcelona? Probably yes. Is he more likely to get a higher salary at Chelsea? Probably yes. Is he going to have a better chance of making the World Cup squad for Spain if he plays for Chelsea next season? Possibly yes, if he's going to get more first-team opportunities. So you could see why he's potentially seriously considering a move. You can see why. But anyway, that's enough about Fermin Lopez, chat. That's enough about Lopez, because we're now going to move on to Xavi Simons, because there's been developments in the Simons deal before we get on to Nicholas Jackson after that. Excuse me, chat. Right. Tottenham have inquired about Xavi Simons. In the previous talks between Chelsea and Leipzig, Chelsea have repeatedly made it clear that a Xavi purchase is only possible if one of their players is changed in return. So, according to Bild in Germany, they're making it out to sound like the case here is Simons deal will only happen if a Chelsea player goes in the opposite direction. And it doesn't look like Enquiry is that keen on a move to Leipzig. And that would be the one we're looking for. We know that Leipzig were interested in Chukwuemeka. We know that Leipzig were interested in Tyreek George. But both those players, Chukwuemeka's gone to Dortmund, and Tyreek George looks like he could be joining AS Roma. So we're in a situation now where, in terms of a player that we could maybe give Leipzig, it's really only Nkunku. And Nkunku doesn't seem that keen on a move to Leipzig. I don't even know if a move to Leipzig is financially viable for them. Is that even financially viable for Nkunku to go to Leipzig? Can they afford the finances of that deal? I don't even know if they can. So yeah, look, we've got a situation here, right, where Spurs are showing an interest in Simons. We know they're looking for that type of player. They went for Eze, they got rejected. You know, they've tried for Nico Paz. But what I would say is, right, Simmons obviously would prefer to join Chelsea over Tottenham. There's no denying that. No denying that at all. However, what I would say is footballers have also got to put themselves first as well. We've told him to wait an entire summer window to join us. And it was made clear back in sort of April, May time that Simons was probably going to leave Leipzig. Can any of us blame Simons if he decided to change his mind now? Would anyone blame him if he decided to change his mind now and go somewhere else? No, I don't think so. Footballers are humans. They've got goals in mind. You know, he wants to play Champions League. He wants to get into the World Cup squad for Holland. Would anyone blame him if he changed his mind right now? And look, if he ended up choosing Tottenham, it'll be highly embarrassing for us. Highly embarrassing for us. But I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame him at all. I would hold nothing against him. Nothing against him whatsoever. Because we would only have ourselves to blame. We'd only have ourselves to blame. And it's a situation that's entirely avoidable. We've messed him around all summer. We've told him, wait. You know, we want you to come. You know, he wants to join us. He's turned down approaches from multiple other clubs because he's intent on joining Chelsea. But the days are ticking by and he's still there. He's still there. And realistically, chat, this deal, the status of this deal hasn't moved forward for weeks. It hasn't moved forward for weeks. There's been pretty much zero updates, really, on this deal. There's been pretty much zero updates on this deal. Really, since for at least 2 or 3 weeks now. There's not really been anything new whatsoever. You know, there's just nothing. Nothing. Yeah, look, going to Spurs would be a strange career choice. I agree. I mean, look, you never know. You never know. You never know if he'll go Tottenham or not. But it's not really the point. We can afford him. People get a bit mixed up here. We need to sell first because of the UEFA deal. But we can afford him. It's not about, Chelsea need to sell to raise 60 million quid to sign Simons. It's not about that. We've got the money to buy Simons, but we need to move players out first for the UEFA situation. It's not about not being able to afford him without selling. We need to sell first because of that UEFA situation right now. And it's about the squad size as well. It's about the squad size. Mohamed Kudus as well. You know, we how interested really were we in him? Bro, the only reason they'd go for Lopez is if the Simons deal showed no signs of really moving forward and being possible. That's the only reason they'd go for Lopez. Lopez is a backup option. And Lopez will cost the same money as Simons, potentially even more. You know, Lopez probably costs more than Simons, to be honest, in my opinion. I think that's absolutely possible that he ends up costing more. Chat with 328 in the building. Big up to every single one of you that's locked in. Keep smashing that subscribe button. We're on 132 likes. Let's get this up to 200 likes as quickly as possible. Smash the likes, guys, and subscribe. It takes seconds and it helps me out more than you can imagine. More than you can imagine. So run it up, guys. Big up to the community as always. Nkunku needs to leave. The issue, club know we get Simons. That's why they're stalling Nkunku deal. George, it's never been about George. It's about senior players leaving. And so, look, Jackson going, you could get, if Jackson goes, it creates space for Simons to come in. But yeah, that's the way that Chelsea seem to be going about it. Basically, I think the situation, the hold up here is that Nkunku needs to leave. Now, whether he specifically has to go to Leipzig I'm not sure. That's the way that this report here reads, but that's not the way that I see it. That's not the way that I see it. Look, I don't know where that is. Well, I don't know where he's got that information wrong, but I'd be stunned if Fermin Lopez, they'd let him go for 40 million quid. I don't see that being the case. I honestly don't see that being the case at all, guys. I really don't. I really don't see that being the case. Aston Villa, yeah, I could potentially see them making an offer, but again, it'll be a loan. Villa don't have the finances to do that. Yeah, it's going to be 50 or 60 million in my opinion. 50 or 60 million to get this deal done. So yeah, 70 million euros, about the 60 million pound mark, maybe just over. That's what it's going to be, chap. That is what it's going to be. That is what it's going to be. What's this Fabrizio tweet? If it's about, it's probably about the Sassy, I'd imagine. Is it about the Sassy? Right, where's the Fabrizio tweet? Understand there's no agreement between Ceballos and Marseille. Well, that can't be it. Oh, there we go. So that's about Jackson. Chat, we're going to move on to Jackson imminently. Bro, this is not a bomber. It's not a bomber. They're in direct club-to-club talks with Chelsea again. You know, the discussions are still ongoing. There's definitely not a bomber. Bro, what other targets? What target have Spurs beaten us to this window? What have they beaten us to this window? So yeah, look, that's why we have Simons. I wouldn't blame him. Because we've made him wait all summer and we still haven't put a bid on the table. The clock's ticking, and he must be losing faith in Chelsea. Being able to get Nkunku out and getting the deal done. And he might be starting to think, shit, there's 5 days left. Am I going to end up staying at Leipzig, or do I try and go somewhere else? Because I'm losing trust in Chelsea. And he's got to make that decision very, very quickly. He's got to make that decision instantly, very, very quickly. Bro, we never went in for Kudus. Chelsea never made one offer for Kudus. And Kudus didn't choose Spurs over Chelsea. There's literally no evidence of that whatsoever. Chelsea were thinking about and exploring a move potentially for Kudus, but they never made an offer. And the only proper offer on the table was from Tottenham. No one else made a bid for Kudus. Chelsea were linked, but they never made a bid. We never made a bid. We were never seriously in for Mohamed Kudus. And that's the reality. We were never seriously in for him. Never seriously in. But yeah. That's the way it is, chat. That's the way it is. We were never seriously in for him. So yeah, that's the latest on Xavi Simons. He's still waiting, guys. He's still waiting. And then just last thing, very briefly on this. Chelsea keeps working on Simons and remains in contact with people in charge of the deal. Great. Garnacho is going to Chelsea. I maintain my position. Just waiting for formal steps, but in my opinion, he will be a Chelsea player. So yeah, that's a brief update there. We'll get into Garnacho a little bit more later on, guys. But let's move on to Nicholas Jackson now, because that's another really big outgoing that needs to take place. So we had all the news about Jackson and Bayern yesterday. The quotes from his agent, were they real, were they not real? Who really knows? But this was from Florian Plettenberg, and then we're going to move into the Fabrizio stuff as well, chat. Regarding FC Bayern and Nicholas Jackson, there have been new talks today. So this was yesterday. Was this just yesterday, 5:30 yesterday evening? However, there's still no full agreement between Jackson and Bayern. Bayern and Chelsea are in contact, and it's difficult. Bayern wants a loan. Premier League clubs remain in the mix with Aston Villa. Chelsea, by the way, have got one international loan spot left. Just one. So they need to choose that very, very carefully. Very, very carefully. They need to select that last loan spot. Very carefully. What else have we got going on? So that's that there. Then in terms of other Jackson news, let me just get this up now. So the only bid that has come for Nicholas Jackson so far was Bayern on a season-long loan. Newcastle and Villa remain in the race. Newcastle want a resolution to Isak's future before moving for Jackson, whilst Villa are reported to have been reluctant to meet Chelsea's 60 million valuation. Napoli are also interested in Jackson, although it's not known whether they would prefer a transfer or loan. Chelsea favour a permanent transfer. I think we can rule Napoli out because Napoli are pressing ahead to try and sign Rasmus Højlund. So I think we can rule Napoli out of proceedings there. We can rule Napoli out of proceedings. So that's that there. Then there's another tweet from this account. So Chelsea are now open to Nicholas Jackson leaving on loan this week if their preference of a permanent sale is not forthcoming. But under one condition, the agreement must include an obligation to buy for next summer. Bayern have been bigged up as the frontrunners for Jackson, but several other teams remain in the race. Several other teams remain in the race. So yeah, that's where we are. And then obviously Fabrizio again just now has said Chelsea and Bayern are again back in club-to-club talks. For Jackson, discussions about a formula. Chelsea's got one international loan spot left, and it has to include obligation to buy. Nothing done so far, but Bayern keep insisting. So that's where we are. So, look, the 80 million valuation was steep. I absolutely agree on that. The 80 million pound valuation was very steep. However, Jackson is worth 65, 70 million in this market. I don't think there's any denying that. I don't think there's any denying that at all. Jackson is definitely worth that money in today's market. Hands down, in my view. Hands down, chat. Hands down, he's worth that money in today's market. So that's what we need to be looking at. Is the Bayern deal a waste of time? I don't think the Bayern deal is a waste of time. I still think there's a real possibility that he goes to Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich are obviously keen. Now, Bayern will clearly know what Chelsea's stance is. They will understand what the stance is. There's no backing down. There's no backing down. We're not going to suddenly change our minds and be like, yeah, sure. Sure. You know, there's going to be no loan. There's going to be loan with an obligation. But actually now we're going to accept loans. That's not going to happen. No, he's worth more than 50 million quid. He's worth more than 50 million. You know, when you look at Jack, this is true. There's no way that Nicholas Jackson is worth less than Benjamin Sesko. Absolutely no chance. I'm not having it. I'm not having it at all. There's no way he's worth less than Benjamin Sesko. Absolutely no way. Chat, keep smashing up the likes. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. We're on 137 likes. We should be getting this up to 150, 200 likes. I don't ever ask for money from you lot. Just 2 clicks of a button. The like button and the subscribe button. So if you've not done that, make sure you are doing it. So let's get it done. Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it does, guys. Maybe it does prove that. But yeah, it's a mad one, really. It is a mad one. But I do expect the Jackson deal to go through. I don't know when Newcastle are going to decide what their stance on Isak is. Isak don't want you. He doesn't want to play for him. I don't know why Newcastle are wasting their time trying to make a point and they're just spiting themselves to keep someone that doesn't want to be at the football club. You know, they talk about, oh, yeah, he's got 3 years left on his contract. Fine, okay. But then when clubs want to force a player out, no fans mention, oh, he's got 3 years left on his deal. Can't do that. No one says anything. But when it's the other way around, they want to try and enforce the contract. So, yeah, the Isak situation is obviously holding up whether Newcastle are going to go for Jackson. Loan with an obligation, I haven't got a problem with a loan with an obligation. That's cool. Loan with obligation, do it. Whatever you need to do. Yes, big up, brother. I hope you're well. Less than Tesco because they want away and third choice at the club. Yeah, look, potentially does lower his value, but he's still 65 million pound player, in my opinion, if we're basing it on the market this summer. If we're basing it on the market this summer, if we let him go for less than 60 million pounds, then we've undervalued him. So whether that's that money up front or whether it's a 10 million pound loan fee with a 50 million pound obligation to buy at the end of the season, whatever it might be, I think if we don't get 60 million at a bare minimum, I think we've undersold ourselves personally. What's happening to Chilwell and Sterling? That's a good question. Nothing right now. Yeah, that's a separate point, and that is a point that I do also agree with. I do also agree with that. You know, I think it should close, or all transfer windows should close at the same time, because you've got some windows like Turkey, for example, which are open until I think September 12th. I'm not sure if the Saudi windows open a bit later as well. If you lose players, you haven't got any time. You haven't got any time to replace them. Yeah. I remember this yesterday. Remember this yesterday, bro. Yeah, about that. Would Chilwell take the step down? I mean, to be honest, in his position, he hasn't really got many choices. He hasn't really got many choices at all. You know, he hasn't got many choices. So would Chile be prepared to go to Turkey? That's one market that's open. That's one market that's been open a while. It's open for a bit longer. Yeah, I mean, the most obvious thing for Chelsea and Chilwell is to come to some sort of agreement, pay him off 1 year, and terminate the second year of his contract. You know, there's 2 years left. I think that's the way that we have to look at this. There's another thing here. There's something from Ben Jacobs on Jackson, I think, that's just come through now. It's probably similar to what's been said by Fabrizio. Yeah. So yeah, Chelsea prepared to sanction a loan with obligation for Nico Jackson if a permanent transfer can't be agreed. Clubs currently told a £10 million loan fee is required. So £10 million loan fee for the season. I think part of the reasons that's so high is to help, is for this compliance with this UEFA restrictions that we're on. So yeah, that's there. £10 million loan fee. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting if anyone pays that. But you know, this needs to be sorted quick. This has got to be sorted quick because the clock's ticking. And really, when Jackson goes, we should be then pushing ahead and finalising the Simons deal. But we know full well that a Jackson departure is basically going to confirm Garnacho's arrival, when that shouldn't be the case. Whoever leaves first out of Jackson or Nkunku, that Simons deal should then be being finalised. But we know, I think it's obvious, in my opinion, that there's going to be whoever leaves first. It's going to be Garnacho coming in, and Garnacho is somehow going to come in. Is going to come in before Simons, which is mental. No, bro, they're not only targeting us. We broke the rules, the same as Aston Villa and the same as a couple of other clubs. This is not UEFA targeting Chelsea. We broke the rules. Simple, very clear. We broke the rules. Villa broke the rules, and a couple of other smaller clubs in Europe also broke the rules. So this is not some sort of UEFA sort of agenda against Chelsea. It isn't. Yeah. And those clubs have been punished. Chelsea, Villa, and the other ones. I can't remember what the other ones were. But we broke the rules. And so you break the rules and you face the punishment. They haven't just randomly picked Chelsea out and decided to make an example of Chelsea. We broke the rules and other clubs broke the rules, you know. And we have to hold that, you know. We broke the rules, you deal with the consequences and the punishments. You know, you don't then do what Arsenal do and start, you know, calling for agendas and saying it's unfair and it's this and that. It's not unfair. We broke the rules. You break rules, you deal with the consequences of them. That's an ongoing situation. That's an ongoing situation. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, look, whether we told them or whether they, it's irrelevant whether we told them or they found out. We broke the rules. So that's it. We broke the rules. It's as simple as that. It really is that simple, guys. I don't know why some people are trying to make it out to be like, oh, we've been hard done by here. We haven't been hard done by. We've not been hard done by at all. I'm the first one to say if we've been hard done by something. We haven't been hard done by here. We've got the punishment that we deserve. We've got the punishment we deserve for breaking the rules. So there we go. Yeah, we had to put our hands up. We had to, because otherwise we would have been found out. It's really not difficult. Like, you're not going to get away with that. Bro, it's again, we need to stop doing this, making out like we're victims. We're not victims. You know, we're not. The City case is completely different to the UEFA. The UEFA one slam dunk. You either breached the rules, the financial rules, or you didn't. That's very simple. There's a lot of nuance and technicalities within this City case, which is why it's taking so long. Plus, it's with a different organisation as well. Yeah, it would be expensive. It would be, but however, though, I don't think it's that outrageous. I don't think it's that outrageous, chat, because we've got like £5 million loan fee for half a season for Sterling. For Felix. We got almost £5 million loan fee for Disasi for half a season. So £10 million for a season. That's not bad. I don't think that's ridiculous. I don't think that's ridiculous, chat. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, but I don't view that as outrageous at all. I don't view that as outrageous at all. Yeah, I think we got 5 million for Vega as well. I think we got that for Vega as well. So yeah, All very, very interesting. But yeah, guys, Bayern, it's very simple. You know the drill here. No straight loan means no straight loan. If you're not, we're not budging on that. So if you're not prepared to do a loan with an obligation, you need to leave the negotiating table and go and discuss a deal with someone else. Go and discuss a deal with someone else, because right now you're wasting our time. You're wasting our time. You're wasting our time. Yeah, I mean, I think we massively overpaid for that. But yeah, the point remains. The point remains. I've got no idea. I don't know. Sometimes it's just a straight obligation, regardless. And sometimes there'll be certain conditions that need to be met. However, you've got to be careful with that sort of thing, because Bayern Munich, and you've seen clubs do it before, they won't play players if it's a certain amount of appearances and it triggers a bonus payment. They just won't play them to avoid paying that bonus. And if they don't want a player who's on loan, and if it's an obligation is triggered by a certain amount of appearances or whatever it might be, if it starts getting near that and they don't want the player, they just won't play them. So you've got to bulletproof yourself against that. For me, you can't be having conditions to the obligation, because you leave yourself open to that team just not playing that player to then avoid triggering the obligation. We've seen it happen many, many times before. I'm not saying it's happened with Chelsea players before, not that I can remember, but we've seen it before. We've seen it before. Exactly this. Atletico did it with Griezmann when he was on loan initially, I think back on loan from Barcelona, or I can't remember where he was. It's happened before. It's happened before, guys. And so, look, you've got to cover off all bases, in my opinion. And doing that would be... It would be... You'd be asking for trouble. You'd be asking for trouble. I don't think we get that. I think the best you get is 10 and 50 or 10 and 55. I think you get 60, 65 million pound package. If it's to Bayern Munich, I think Chelsea would settle on a 65 million pound package. Well, I've got mates in Saudi, but yeah, I don't think I haven't got the ability or the contacts to sort players' moves out. I definitely haven't got that. Yeah, and that's where United did themselves in, because there should have been no opt-out clause. There should have been no opt-out clause, and this is why you've got to be careful. If you're going to do an obligation, you've got to make it an iron-tight obligation that you can't get out of, that you simply cannot get out of, or one where it's obvious, like it's 10 appearances and it becomes an obligation, because he's obviously going to play 10 times. But yeah. Well, look at it this way. It'll be 10 million coming off the total cost. So I don't really see that being significantly different to a permanent deal. You're just paying 10 million now and then the rest in 12 months. So I don't see that different. So there we go. yeah, maybe one day, chat. Maybe one day. So yeah, that's the latest on Nicholas Jackson, guys. Negotiations with Bayern, and we're waiting. We're waiting. It basically feels like we're just waiting. A lot of it is waiting. Simons waiting. Garnacho waiting. We're waiting for Jackson to go. We're waiting for Nkunku to go. Fermin Lopez, bit of a curveball. We're sort of waiting. Does he actually want to join Chelsea? We're waiting, and the clock is ticking big time. The clock's ticking big time, and we're just sat here waiting. We're just sat here waiting for stuff to happen. It's like, guys, we've got shit to do here. We've got shit to do here. We need to get a move on. We need to get a move on. We've got to get a move on. We have to. Oh, man, I've got no idea. I'm not like Liam Delap with quick maths. I'm not like Liam Delap with quick maths, guys. Who's Aaron Remrio? Who the fuck's that guy? Who is he? Aaron what? Remrio? Aaron Remiro? Who the fuck's that guy? Aaron H. Ramiro. Right, hold on. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of this guy. Who is this guy? Hasn't even got 10k followers. Not that that matters, but I mean, I don't know how trusted a source he is, but I mean, I wouldn't exactly this specific thing here. I wouldn't exactly call this breaking news that Bayern Munich and Aston Villa are prepared to go until deadline day for Chelsea striker Nicholas Jackson. Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious that the negotiations could go till deadline day. I wouldn't exactly call this some sort of major breaking news from him. But yeah, you could easily see the Nico Jackson situation going to deadline day. Of course you could. You could see a lot of this Chelsea business going to deadline day. 100%. 100%. Guys, we're still over 300 in the building. Big up to everyone. We haven't reached 200 likes though. That's poor. That's poor. That needs to change right now. So smash up the like button and let's get this up to 200 likes. It really helps me out, helps boost the content more in the algorithm. So yeah, run up the likes and keep subscribing if you're new around here as well. That would be greatly appreciated, chat. So run it up. Yeah, Lopez is the Xavi alternative. Lopez is the Xavi alternative. Yeah, I think Nkunku's going to deadline day as well. Hard to find a good keeper that will move. Well, we had an opportunity to get Munyan, but we decided not to take it. So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult when you make those decisions. But yeah, goalkeepers aren't players that become available very often. Let's see what else this guy's been posting then. To be fair, some of his stuff does actually look all right. But let's move on to this Tyreek George situations. He's another one that's going out. You know, Roma had positive talks with Chelsea in London yesterday. I remember Sky Sports in Italy saying that around 20 million euros. That corroborates with this about trying to sign George for around 15 million. Romano saying that Chelsea want a big sell-on clause. 30-40% would make sense. And yeah, that's another deal. I mean, it's 15 million pounds. Is that seems a bit, if that is true, that seems a bit low. That does seem a bit low in my view. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I would have thought you could have been able to get 20, maybe 25. But I guess the sell-on clause will make up for that. maybe the sell-on clause makes up for that. Maybe it makes up for that. I don't know. I really don't know. Only because he's played more. Only because he's played more. Yeah, the 40%. If it is a 40%, yeah, bro. So it's all the same stuff. If it is a 40%, yeah, 20 million euros, so 15 million pounds. That seems to be the figure that's doing the rounds. And again, 40% sell-on clause. That's obviously going to stand us in good stead further down the line. That is going to stand us in good stead further down the line. So yeah, I think that's all looking. I think that's all looking quite promising, chat. I think that's all looking quite promising. Yeah, if Roma agree to that sell-on clause, then I think this is a deal that will get done pretty quickly. I think this would be a great move for Tariq George as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening, but yeah, we'll be in line for a decent chunk of cash, some way down the line, and that's where these sell-on clauses are great. That's where these sell-on clauses are great. They really help you out. They really help you out further down the line. They massively help you out. No, George wasn't making it with us. You know, as soon as he made those signings early in the window, he wasn't making it. You know, he'll go on and have a very good career. Of course he will. But the reality is he wasn't making it. I don't think we need a buyback clause, to be honest. Because respectfully, excuse me, George is not going to suddenly become better than the options we've got. He just isn't. Yeah, Amari Hutchinson. We obviously we got a bit of money from his move to Nottingham Forest. So yeah, these are all deals that we are going to benefit from, and a lot of these younger players we're selling, we're going to benefit down the line. And these sell-on clauses are very, very handy, and we're very good at negotiating those into deals. Very, very good. And that should be applauded. Let's see what else is happening, though, chat. Let's see what else is happening. Yeah, exactly. This is it. This is what people don't realize, that like not every player is going to be good enough to make it in the first team. They're not. The very best will, and the others will be sold. And it's like that in every single academy. It's like that in every single academy around the country and even around the world. You know, if you're the very best, you'll get in. If you're not, then you'll go and have a very good career still, but you'll be sold. And that's the way that it's always been. That's the way that you've always been. You know, it's not a percentage of the whole amount. It'll be a percentage of the profit, basically. But you still get a decent chunk of money for not doing anything. So that's not an issue. No, we tried to. But Liverpool, I think, offered a bit more money, and he felt that there was a better pathway there was a clearer pathway to the first team at Liverpool than there was at Chelsea. And to be honest, he was probably right, and he looks like he's justified in his decision. But we didn't just let him leave. We tried to keep him. You know, we tried to keep him, and we couldn't. So, you know, that's not our fault. I mean, yeah, look, we obviously Hudson-Odoi looked very good, but there's not been many. There's not been many. Bro, I don't think they did. Obviously, we're going to be due compensation because that's what happens with players of that age. There's a compensation fee. They didn't tap him up. You know, bro, the deal for Nkunku to Leipzig's not financially viable for him. It's not financially viable for them. That's why. That's why it's not happening. And also, Nkunku, I don't think is overly keen on that move. He's not overly keen on the move. That's why. So yeah, Tyreek George to Roma. I think that'd be an exciting move. You get 15 million quid in a sell-on clause. Yeah, I think that for me is decent. It's decent enough business. It's decent enough. You might expect to get more, but yeah, for me, I think that's a decent enough. I think that's decent enough fee, basically. Yeah, you'd expect a little bit more, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. At this point, you just got to get players out the door. And I don't think you could really expect much more for George. So there we are. That's the latest on Tyreek George, another outgoing. This is really what we've got left to, in terms of outgoings. What we've got left: Sterling, Chilwell, George, Disassi, and Gilchrist. Those are the 5 that we're looking to move out, really. And I think that those are the 5 that are left. Those are the 5 that are left, chat. I mean, it would be great, wouldn't it, if Fenerbahce can get past Benfica and we get Chelsea versus Fenerbahce, Mourinho return to Stamford Bridge. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? Would be incredible. Maybe we do. Maybe we do. Well, it's not a here we go yet, is it, though? Yeah. What else is happening, guys? Yeah, we sold very well. We sold very well. We always do. We always do sell well. We always do sell well, guys. Do we know how long Palmer is out? No, we don't. But if we've got any sense, he'll miss the Fulham game and he'll miss the England games. He'll miss the England games. That's what we're going to hope for. Bring him on. Bring him on. Well, I'd love that. Bring them on. Yeah, Turkey is in Europe. Yeah. Well, part of it's in Europe and part of it's in Asia. You can cross this bridge in Istanbul, where if you go over the bridge, you're in Asia. And if you go over the bridge the other way, you're back in Europe. Well, it's not confirmed he's going to miss the England games, but that would be the sensible thing to do. That would be the sensible thing to do, guys. It would be the sensible thing to do. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, the draw is tomorrow. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. We'll do it live on the channel. We'll have the usual lunchtime show, and then we'll also have the show for the Champions League draw as well. Saudi club Neon will make an offer for Disassi. Prefers to move within Europe. So then why are they making an offer if he's not interested? Maybe they're going to try and convince him. Maybe they'll try and convince him. Who knows? But Disassi, like Neon explored a move for Disassi earlier in the window, and that was shut down very quickly. Maybe they're going to go back and try again. Maybe they'll go back and try again, guys. Maybe they go and try again. I don't know. Yeah, we're still waiting for this to kind of burst into life. Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it? The blues, there's a bit of blue on it, there's a line on it. Yeah, maybe it's signifying that this could be our year, chat. Maybe it's signifying that this could be the year. This could be the year. Who knows? Chat, we're 15 likes away from 200. We're over 300 in the building still. So smash up that like button. Smash up that like button and subscribe if you're new round here as well. Subscribe if you're new round here as well. But yeah, let's get this up to 200 likes. Yeah, bro, we've been through this. We went through this earlier on. Bro, it's all good. It's not school. I'm not going to get in trouble. You can watch back on replay. You can watch back on replay, brother. It's all good. So yeah. I mean, it just feels like everything's going to come to a head over the weekend and on Monday. You know, I almost feel like they're waiting on purpose. It almost feels like they're just waiting on purpose, chat. That's the impression that I'm getting. Yeah, bro, it's the same. It's just about Fermin Lopez and Simons. It's just really the same updates reworded. No, look, Fermin Lopez is a bit different to Xavi. He's more of a box crasher, probably a better ball carrier, and a goal scoring threat. But Simons is kind of more creative, and I think Simons would be more beneficial for Chelsea. I think it'd be more beneficial. Yeah, but bro, no one's going to pay that. You know, La Liga, and all players in La Liga are required by La Liga rules to have a release clause in them. Those ones that you see for like 500 million, a billion or whatever, they're obviously not going to be met. They just have to be in there. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with the whole Kellyman thing, but that's been a major disaster. A major disaster. Yeah, it's been a mad one. That's been poor. There's absolutely no denying that. That Kellyman thing's been poor. I still look, for me, I still don't see Fermin Lopez coming. But I think that I think we're gonna see 2 or 3 deals for Chelsea happen on deadline day. I really do. See 2 or 3 deals happening for Chelsea on deadline day. Is that healthy? Is that beneficial? I don't know. Yeah, Kellyman was never going to play anyway. So anyone that was expecting anything from Kellyman's obviously fundamentally misunderstood the deal. That was purely a PSR deal. Well, bro, we might not have a choice. The draw is going to do its thing. The draw is going to do its thing, and we'll wait. And we will wait to see. Yes, big up, mate. I hope you're well. When is the deadline? Monday at 7 p.m. I'd rather he didn't. You know, to go through all that this summer would be shit. It would be really shit to just end up with Nkunku staying. We can't really afford for that to happen. We can't really afford for that to happen, chat. We have to be real here. We have to be real here. We've got there's Carabao Cup 3rd round draw tonight as well. Be interesting to see who we potentially get in the Carabao as well. Yeah, look, I'd still be surprised if Nkunku stayed. I would. Is there an Ornstein tweet? Oh, nah, boring. Borussia Dortmund reach agreement with Wolves to sign Fabio Silva. Fair enough. That doesn't interest us, chap. That doesn't interest us. We're not about that. No update. Agreed. I'd rather Jackson stay than Nkunku as well. No, I don't. But yeah, the draw will obviously be tomorrow. The draw will be tomorrow, guys. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. That is going to be exciting. The first time in a couple of years that we're actually going to be in the draw. Yeah, by the way, I'm not saying that Fermin Lopez wouldn't fit. I'm not saying he wouldn't fit. He obviously would. But the club's priority is still to bring Xavi Simons in. We will see. The Carabao Cup draw will either be before the games tonight or after. Yeah, it'll be before or after the games tonight. I'm not exactly sure when. Yeah, Carabao Cup draw is tonight, third round. We've got to be doing better than we did in the domestic cups last year. We've got to be doing better than we did in the domestic cups last year, because our performance in the domestic cups last year, we've got to be honest, guys, disgrace. Really, really poor and really, really disappointing. Really disappointing. Bro, Fermin Lopez won't be cheaper. I find that very hard to believe that if we were to go for Fermin Lopez, it would be cheaper. I'm not seeing that. Yeah, we're not going to get that. Brighton knocked us out the FA Cup last season. I think we lost 3-1 or something. I think we lost 3-1. It was a shambles. It was shambolic, chat. It was really, really piss poor. Really piss poor, guys. Very, very disappointing. I actually don't know where I think Nkunku's most likely to go. I'm really unsure, chap. Really, really unsure. Really unsure. Yeah, where's he going to go? Where is he going to go? Yeah, but I don't think he scored in that game, did he? I don't think he scored in that game. Did he score in that game? I've got no idea. Yeah, no, part of me gets that theme, and there's part of me also that you have to love the drama of the final week. So we will see on that, chat. We will see. It'll be euros. Yeah, yeah. Simons. This is what I was saying, chat. Simons and Lopez will basically be the same price. They'll basically be the same price. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with both of those. Simons. If we're only having one more, I'm having Simons. Yeah, Garnacho will probably be maximum 40. No, the 40 would include add-ons, though. I don't see Chelsea going above 40 million. No way. Yeah. Maybe a 35 plus 5. Maybe a 35 plus 5. That might make sense. That might make sense. You know, Garnacho, maybe Garnacho will be on deadline day. Maybe it will be. No, but bro, it's still, it still requires Nkunku to go. Regardless of, even if it might not require Nkunku to go to Barcelona, but it still requires Nkunku to leave anyway. So the situation doesn't change whether you decide to pivot to Fermin Lopez or not. The situation remains the same. No, I didn't say no. That's what Chelsea. That's what the reports were saying initially, that Chelsea weren't prepared to pay more than 30 million. Whether they decide to go up to 35 or up to 40, we don't know. No, it's not me. That's what some reports have said, that Chelsea might be prepared to go to 40. It's not saying they will. It's saying they might be prepared. I still think we probably go 35. I still think we'll reach an agreement at 35, is my opinion. But yeah, anyway, chat. We're going to round this one out here. Big up to everyone that's tuned in this afternoon. Big show. Appreciate each and every single one of you. Great numbers today. Guys, please, on the way out, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. If you haven't done so already, that would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, guys, if there's any major news, I'll be back tomorrow. With all the latest Chelsea transfer news. We'll be back later on today if there's more major news. If not, catch you lot tomorrow, same time again, and of course for that Champions League draw as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, whatever you're doing. Let's wait and see what happens in the next 24 hours. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Love.